Welcome to Enchanted Astrology with Ariel Smith. Thank you so much for joining me today as we look at the astrological forecast for the week of April 1st until the 7th. Now, this week we continue to have this large influencing backdrop of the outer planets, where we have Pluto in Aquarius, which is transforming our collective systems, and it's shifting us toward a more decentralization of power. We have Saturn in Aries, which is building new structures, and this can happen quickly or abruptly. And since that Saturn is in sextile to Pluto, we have these structures coming online that are deeply transformative in their nature. So they are causing this deep transformation and change on a fundamental level. We have Neptune in Aries, which is bringing us new ideologies. It is renewing our spiritual identity. It is bringing us an awareness of ourselves as spiritual beings. And with Neptune sextile to Pluto, this is bringing a lot of power to our beliefs and our ideologies. We have Uranus in Taurus that is disrupting and continuing to disrupt our resources, which include land, money, and food. And with Uranus in sextile to Pluto, we have powerful breakthroughs or revolutions that ultimately are reshaping our entire economy. And that includes things like finance, food supply, and natural resources. So essentially, we have the entire outer planet system all cooperating with each other to rebuild and restructure our experience here on Earth. And this is non-negotiable. So one outer planet carries immense weight and pull already, but here all four of them are working together. So this is the backdrop. This is the change that we are going through at this time. And because they are all supporting each other in aspect, it is synchronistic. It's cohesive and very intentional. So we can trust the changes that are happening, even though there will, yes, be discomfort along the way as we are forced to make adjustments. So if you are already doing the work, if you are already adjusting to this energy internally, because remember, this is an external manifestation of an internal shift, then you will feel this more as a change that is necessary and right on time. And if you are actively projecting this and working against these energies, it can feel quite frightening and heavy and very confusing. So as we will see this week, how this very powerful configuration is challenging our inner world of the inner planets. So first up, on March 3rd, we have Venus at 5 degrees of Taurus, where she forms an exact square to Pluto at 5 degrees of Aquarius. And remember, Pluto has the support of all the outer planets. And now we have Venus in her domicile of Taurus, where she is challenged. Now, Venus in Taurus has built a life of material comfort. Okay, she has a routine. She has her resources established, her food secured for the season. She's got her material comforts available, and she's very comfortable here. She doesn't want to move. She doesn't want change. She doesn't want to be disrupted here. But with the themes that we see playing out astrologically, there is a disconnection between the material comforts and her knowledge of the means by which they were acquired and secured. So Taurus wants sustainability. And the problem here is that the resources and comforts are not made available to us in a sustainable way. So how we acquire these comforts are not only unsustainable, but in a lot of cases, they are also not humane. And Pluto in Aquarius is not going to stand for that. It is a complete non-starter for Aquarius to allow inhumane shenanigans to be going on. And that is caused by an imbalance of power. So Pluto is doing his work to fix it. And he is getting support from Neptune and Saturn in Aries, which not only wants more self-accountability and responsibility, Neptune is making sure we aren't closing off our hearts, that we are aware of ourselves beyond the material body, to our greater connection with each other, and we are embodying a more compassionate sense of self. Now, because Venus in Taurus, in order to secure her comforts, doesn't have awareness of how they were secured, that if she did have awareness around that, she would have to close her heart in order to condone and accept it. If we knew the atrocities committed in order to supply the world with coffee and sugar, for example, we would either have to close our hearts to continue buying and consuming these goods, or we would simply just refuse. And this is the reality of the global economic and material resource system that we have built and are left with today. So there is a lot being uncovered that shows us the reality of the systems we have built, because we cannot move forward with our hearts closed any longer. Right? In order to evolve, in order to transcend the current paradigm, this is an absolute requirement to open our hearts, to have the self-responsibility to see plainly what is going on and to decide whether or not we will condone that. Now, on this note, as just a somewhat silly example, I wanted to buy nail polish the other day, and I was shocked by how expensive every single brand of nail polish is. It is like $20 Canadian for a jar of nail polish. And for perspective, it used to be roughly like $4.99. So option one, I could say, well, I have no control over this and I just have to buy it at that price. And if I give my power away, I just give in to something I don't want to do, which is spend $20 on one nail polish, and I'm continuing to fund an experience I don't want. But the other option is I can say, no, I don't accept this, and I can purchase nail polish from other sources, like a consignment boutique. Or I can do some research and find an option that feels more aligned for me and go that route. And the large corporations that are selling these items at unreasonable prices no longer receive funding to continue doing this. And we all know that the markup is unreasonable, and this ultimately is benefiting the very few at the top of the organizations, and not the mass general populations. And that goes for many of the goods that we purchase. it is our responsibility to understand where we are giving our power to and to be intentional with this. Make sure that the brand is reputable. Make sure you are allowing yourself to find alternative options if the ones available feel gross and icky. And sometimes that is quite uncomfortable because then we have to accept the consequences of that. But if we could do that gracefully, it really can serve us to see all the little ways we are allowing something external to hold power over us. So for the nail polish, the consequence might be that you don't have nail polish for that event you wanted. Okay, so maybe you give your nails a nice clean and file and go au naturel. And if that's deeply uncomfortable, that is a clue to another external factor that is holding power over us. Like, what will other people think if they see my natural nails? Or how am I going to feel confident and good about myself without the help of this external object? So these are all very helpful things to get us familiar with and looking into during this time, because we are deeply changing power over structures, and that includes all the little ways that something external holds power over you. Now, at the same time as this Venus-Pluto square, we also have the Sun in Aries square Jupiter in Cancer, which is exact on March 5th, when the Sun and Jupiter both move to 16 degrees. Now, with Jupiter in Cancer, we feel these changes and pressures emotionally. We feel them internally. We feel them in our homes, in our private lives, and there can be a bigger sense of being protective here. We are concerned for safety, for our survival, for our homes and our families, and feeling the emotional weight of what is playing out on the bigger stage at this time. So we want to find the meaning behind it and within it. We want there to be a sense of meaning and purpose, and we are unwilling to let the fear shrink us or make us small. Now, Jupiter, again, is exalted in Cancer, and so this is a wise energy. It is an expansive energy when it's evolved and when awareness is present. Now, Cancer is an energy that governs how we feel and how we care for one another based off of those feelings. Jupiter can expand that beautifully. It can expand our heart space and allow for us to move through these challenges with our hearts open and a sense of a deep care for humanity as a whole. However, if awareness is not present, Jupiter can expand feelings of survival where we are in fear. We are in overprotective mode and defensive. And this is where the Sun in Aries, how we can impulsively make our decisions and decide to move forward, can show us whether we are moving forward from a place of heart open or heart closed. And this square can bring attention to what we think we see, right? Where we make quick assumptions about what we perceive, and knowing deep within that our intuition may be telling a different story. So, for example, if you are exposed to a narrative that says to hate someone because of this thing, but your intuition might feel into that hate ultimately is a trap. And there is more going on than that you don't know about, and therefore it's not up to you to decide or to make that final judgment. Right? We sometimes can believe that it is entirely up to us to judge everything, but we never have all of the information. And something tells me we aren't meant to. So let it go. Worry about maintaining your own sovereign energy, making the best choices that you can in each moment, and leave the rest. And Jupiter here does have the support of Mercury in Pisces by trine. And remember, Mercury in Pisces is very intuitive, but doesn't have all the facts in this clear way, right? Mercury in Pisces is not judging on a linear timeline. He's not decisive here. He is more compassionate and intuitive. So in Pisces, Mercury will be given the information he needs when he needs it, no more and no less. And he's comfortable not seeing the full picture. He's comfortable not knowing every little detail and not making judgments. He's just following his heart and the pulls of his intuition that leads exactly where he needs to go. So he just sees the waves as part of the ocean moving and not as anything to fight or build a grievance against. He just sees the ocean moving, and he knows that the ocean is far beyond his control. So overall, this week we see more of the changes, the disruptions, and tensions of the evolution that we are going through, and how it challenges what we have in place now, and it's right on time. The astrology shows that, and many sources speak to this timing, and quite honestly, we are ready for it. And I believe we can navigate this together with our hearts open and knowing that we are deeply supported in this transition. Now, if you would like to book a reading with me to see how this year's energies and these big outer planet configurations play out in your chart specifically, you can absolutely do that through my website at enchantedastrology.ca. And as always, thank you so very deeply for listening in today. I will be back next week with another episode.